There's a sound, faint at first, the distant hum of engines roaring to life, a symphony of power and ambition wrapped in steel and fire. But this isn't just the soundtrack to another Hollywood blockbuster. It's the echo of something deeper, the relentless pursuit of greatness. In the world of Formula One, there's no room for hesitation. Every second counts. Every decision defines your fate. And for those who dare to sit behind the wheel, the line between glory and disaster is thinner than a strand of silk caught in the wind. But now, Hollywood has set its sights on that unforgiving world, not with special effects or make-believe heroes, but with something far more dangerous. The Truth, a new film featuring one of cinema's most iconic faces, plunges us head first into the high-speed crucible of Formula One. But this isn't just about engines or racetracks. It's a reminder, a message that every one of us is in a race of our own. The story unfolding on the silver screen isn't fiction dressed up as reality. It's the raw, unfiltered reminder of what it means to dream beyond your limits, to face the fear, the failures, the doubt, and still push forward. Faster, braver, hungrier. In the making of this film, Hollywood didn't build artificial sets or hide behind digital illusions. They put actors and cameras on real racetracks in the heart of real competitions, alongside legends who have tasted both triumph and tragedy. The stakes, authenticity, the cost, everything, and perhaps hidden beneath the roar of engines and the blinding flash of cameras, lies the question we all must face. Are you ready to step into your own race? Are you prepared to risk comfort for greatness, to face the unknown, knowing that failure is not only possible, it's inevitable, but so is growth? Because life, much like the brutal world of Formula One, is not a leisurely drive. It's a test of courage, of resilience, of how far we're willing to push when the odds tell us to slow down, to give up, to stay in our lane. But the ones who change the world, they don't stay in their lane. They rewrite the map entirely. As the lights fade, the engines ignite, and the story of this film unfolds, Hollywood might just be learning a lesson long overdue, and so can we. Because beneath the speed and spectacle, the real story is this: the greatest victory isn't crossing the finish line. It's daring to start the race at all. The world is full of boundaries, borders etched in sand, lines drawn across the pavement, ceilings placed overhead, most of them imagined, yet they dictate how far people believe they can go. Hollywood, for decades, has built entire empires on stories. Stories of underdogs, of champions, of individuals daring to defy gravity, fate, even the rules themselves. But somewhere along the way, the heartbeat of those stories grew faint. Special effects replaced authenticity. Manufactured drama overshadowed the quiet, raw moments of struggle that define every real journey, and audiences, they began to feel the difference. They sensed when the courage was scripted, when the battles were staged. But now, with this new Formula One film, something has changed. Hollywood has rediscovered a truth older than the sport itself, that real victory isn't born in front of green screens or polished press tours. It's born where risk and reality collide. At 200 miles per hour, imagine it, a race car slicing through the air, wheels trembling, the entire machine threatening to come apart with the slightest misstep. No computer can replicate the tension in the driver's eyes, the tightness in their chest, the raw grip of fear and focus fighting for space inside a helmet. In crafting this film, they didn't just cast actors. They enlisted mentors from the highest levels of racing, real champions, men and women who have danced on the edge of catastrophe and lived to tell the tale. Their fingerprints are on every frame, every heartbeat of the story. Why? Because life isn't rehearsed. Neither is greatness. And that's what Hollywood would almost forgot the power of imperfection, the beauty of the unknown, the unfiltered human struggle for mastery over chaos. Formula One is the perfect mirror for that lesson. High speed, high stakes, brutally unforgiving, just like life. There's a lesson hiding beneath the screeching tires and roaring engines. The illusion of limits exists only for those unwilling to challenge them. The world will always whisper that the odds are impossible, that you're too late, too small, too ordinary to matter. But history and every race worth winning tells a different story. It speaks of those who refused to believe in limits, those who defied expectation, embraced the unknown, and risked failure, all for a shot at something greater. Hollywood, through this film, is finally learning what racers have always known. The most powerful story is the one that bleeds truth. And every person watching, they're already a part of that race, whether they realize it or not. Your limits are only as real as you allow them to be. There's something about a finish line that captivates the human spirit. It marks the end of a journey, the applause, the victory, the glory. But in truth, the finish line is a lie, because in life, just like in racing, there's always another lap, another challenge, another storm to outrun. The film taking Hollywood by storm isn't just about cars circling a track. It's about that endless pursuit, the quiet understanding that true greatness isn't measured in trophies. It's measured in resilience. In the world of Formula One, every driver knows this intimately. They've tasted the sweetness of standing atop the podium and the bitterness of crashing before the first turn. They've trained their minds to understand. One moment you're a champion, the next, you're rebuilding from the wreckage. Sound familiar? It should, because every person walking this earth is racing against something. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's self-doubt, maybe it's the haunting voice that says you're not enough, not ready, not worthy. But here's the truth, hidden beneath the roar of engines and flashing cameras. The race isn't won by those who never fall. It's won by those who rise again, lap after lap, failure after failure, until courage outweighs fear. Hollywood's newest tribute to Formula One reminds us of that raw, undeniable fact. They've stripped away the filters, the polished illusions, and exposed the bones of human ambition, fragile, trembling, and yet unbreakable. On that racetrack, in that cockpit, everything is stripped bare. There's no room for excuses, no place to hide from fear. It's man versus machine versus time versus the pounding heartbeat inside their chest. The actors portraying these racers, they've stepped into that same crucible, learning, training, failing, repeating until they understood the weight behind every lap. Because pretending isn't enough anymore. Audiences can sense when a story is crafted from truth or built on convenience, and the same applies to life itself. We all crave the applause, the success, the finish line, but the wisest among us know there's always another race ahead, another mountain to climb, another voice whispering, "You can't," and another fire inside daring to say, "Watch me." That's the heartbeat of this film, not the fame, not the spectacle, but the quiet message echoing beneath it all, the real race. It never ends, and neither does your potential. You may fall, you may fail, but if you rise again and again, you're already winning more than most ever dare to try. The finish line, it's just the start of your next chapter. There comes a moment for every racer, every dreamer, every soul with ambition where standing still becomes the greatest risk of all. You see, life isn't a straight road. It's a twisting circuit of unknowns, and only those with courage strapped tightly to their chest dare to press the accelerator. In the film now captivating audiences, we don't just witness cars tearing across the tarmac. We witness the quiet, internal war each character wages long before the green light flashes. The war of self, doubt, The haunting question, am I ready? And maybe you've heard that question too. Maybe you've stood at the edge of a decision, hands trembling, heart racing, wondering if you have what it takes to chase the life you dream about. Racers live that moment every time they grip the steering wheel. Hollywood, through this gritty, authentic Formula One story, has peeled back the curtain to reveal what courage truly looks like, and it's not always glamorous. It's messy. It's sleepless nights, failures stacking higher than victories, voices telling you to play it safe, to slow down, to stay in your comfort zone. But the truth, comfort never made legends. On the track, one wrong turn can end careers or worse. Yet they still drive, they still risk it all, not because they're fearless, but because they understand that fear is a passenger, not the driver, and in your life, the same rule applies. The job you dream of, the passion you've buried, the potential whispering your name all require the courage to risk failure. The courage to ignore the critics, to silence the doubt, to lean into the unknown with trembling hands but an unwavering spirit. Hollywood's embrace of raw, unpolished storytelling in this film reflects something many had forgotten. The world doesn't celebrate those who played it safe. It remembers those who risked everything, who stared down the impossible and pressed forward anyway. It's why legends are born not just from victory, but from vulnerability, from risking your heart, your pride, your comfort, for a chance at something greater. That's the spirit racing through every frame of this film, every roar of the engine, every bead of sweat clinging to a driver's brow. And it's the spirit racing through your veins, whether you realize it or not. The question isn't whether fear exists. It does. The question is, will you let fear steer your life? Or will you, like those drivers, like those dreamers before you, risk it all? And chase the extraordinary. The track awaits, the world is watching. Your race has already begun. Greatness, it's a word we hear often. It echoes in speeches, dances across headlines, fills our imaginations. But what few ever tell you is the price. The film now sweeping conversations in Hollywood captures more than the speed of Formula One. It reveals the cost behind every victory, and it's never cheap. Behind the roar of engines, behind the glint of champagne toasts and glittering trophies, lies a hidden battlefield, one paved with sleepless nights, shattered expectations, strained relationships, and moments of near collapse. The cameras might not capture it, but the heart feels it. For those who chase the podium, sacrifice is the currency they trade in. Families waiting at home, friends left behind, birthdays missed, injuries hidden beneath proud smiles. Because when you commit to a dream, truly commit, the world demands more than talent. It demands pieces of your soul. It's no different for those sitting in boardrooms, classrooms, studios, or quiet corners of the world, quietly building futures no one else believes in. The dreamers, the relentless, the ones racing not on asphalt, but in life itself, their sacrifices, though less visible, are just as real. Hollywood, for years, painted success in broad strokes, the applause, the fame, the clean, polished finish. But this film, born from the unforgiving world of real racing, reminds us that every lap toward greatness comes with scars unseen. Ask any Formula One driver, the public sees the podium, but they don't see the hours in the gym, the diets, the mental breakdowns, the bruises hidden under fireproof suits. They don't hear the self-doubt screaming during quiet moments, or the crushing weight of expectations pressing down before the engine even starts. And yet, they race. Why? Because they understand the brutal, beautiful truth. To stand at the summit, you must be willing to climb through valleys of doubt, storms of failure, and fires of sacrifice. Greatness isn't handed out. It's earned with everything you have. The same applies to your life. That dream simmering in your chest, it will cost you comfort. The ambition pulling at your heart, it will test your endurance. But the reward, the quiet pride of knowing you gave everything, that you refused to be ordinary, that is priceless. The world may only see the finish line, but you'll know the real story, the sacrifices, the grit, the heartache behind the glory. Hollywood, through this film, finally dares to show both sides of the coin, the triumph and the toll. And in doing so, it reminds every one of us, the price of greatness is high, but regret costs even more. So the question remains, will you pay the price? Will you risk the comfort, face the hardship, and race toward the life few dare to chase? The choice is yours. Before a single tire touches the track, before engines roar to life, before the crowd leans forward in anticipation, the real battle has already begun, and it doesn't happen on the asphalt, it happens within. The film, now stirring hearts and headlines, is more than a spectacle of speed. It's a meditation on the human mind. Because long before Formula One drivers grip the wheel, they must first master something far more unpredictable than any racetrack. Their own thoughts, fear, doubt, pressure, these aren't obstacles outside the car. They ride alongside every driver, whispering in their ear at 200 miles per hour. The untrained mind is the most dangerous passenger in any race. It's no different in life. Most people believe the greatest hurdles they face are the world's expectations, the competition, the circumstances outside their control. But ask a champion, they'll tell you plainly, the fiercest opponent lives within. This film, raw and unapologetic, brings that reality to the screen. The tense silences before the race, the flicker of uncertainty behind determined eyes, the private moments of vulnerability that no camera usually captures. Hollywood finally pulled back the curtain on what it takes to quiet the storm inside, and it's a storm we all know. Every day, people wake to a barrage of silent battles, insecurity, the fear of failure, the weight of not being enough. These are not isolated to racetracks or movie scripts. They unfold in offices, classrooms, and bedrooms across the world. But here's the truth, hidden beneath the glamour of Formula One and the Hollywood lens. Victory, true victory, begins with the mind. It begins when a person silences the doubts, confronts their fears, and tells themselves, I belong here. I am ready. I will not surrender to fear. Drivers are trained for more than reflexes, they are sculpted mentally. Visualization, mindfulness, resilience, training, all tools to conquer the battlefield within, long before they face the speed and stakes outside, and the same tools are available to you. Life doesn't hand out trophies for staying comfortable, but it offers immeasurable reward to those willing to wrestle with their own limits, to stare down their fears, and to master the quiet, unseen wars of the mind. This is the unspoken truth that Hollywood's latest project dares to reveal, and it's the truth every champion, every dreamer, every person destined for more must understand. The race begins, not when the lights turn green, but when you choose to believe in your own strength, despite the doubt whispering otherwise. Master your mind, and no storm on the track or in life can slow you down. In every great story, whether whispered in locker rooms, told beneath stadium lights, or unfolding on silver screens, there lies a chapter many skip over. Failure, the roar of engines, the gleam of trophies, the headlines filled with praise, they only tell half the tale. The other half, it's written in scars, shattered dreams, and the humbling taste of defeat. The new film, inspired by the unforgiving world of Formula One, does more than showcase speed. It dares to illuminate the brutal, often unseen truth. Failure isn't the end. It's the ignition. Every racer, no matter how celebrated, has kissed the pavement after a crash. They've felt the suffocating sting of missed opportunities, the quiet judgment of those who only see the results. Never the relentless grind beneath them. But here's where champions, both on the track and in life, set themselves apart. They don't let failure define them. They let it refine them. You see, in racing, failure is guaranteed. The car will falter, the body will tire, the unexpected will strike. But from the ashes of defeat rises a sharper mind, a stronger will, a heart unwilling to yield. Hollywood, through this raw and riveting film, reminds us that greatness isn't born from winning alone. It's sculpted by losses, heartbreak, and the unwavering decision to stand back up. Again and again. It mirrors life itself. How many times have you fallen short? How many dreams have you buried under the weight of setbacks? How often has fear convinced you to stay down after life pushed you to your knees? Understand this. The most powerful fuel isn't talent or luck, it's the lessons carved from your lowest moments. It's the resolve built when the world doubts you. It's the quiet fire that whispers, try again. Formula One legends know this better than anyone. Their highlight reels may flash with victory, but their true legacy is etched in the races they lost, the nights they questioned themselves, the injuries that threatened their future, the failures that nearly broke them. And yet they returned, not because they never doubted, but because they refused to let doubt win. The film, much like life, teaches us a humbling truth. Failure is inevitable, but quitting, that's a choice. The track of life is winding, unpredictable, and littered with setbacks. But every time you rise, every time you learn, every time you use failure to sharpen your edge, you close the gap between who you are and who you're destined to become. Failure fuels the fire. Let it burn bright. When the engines fall silent, when the crowds have dispersed, when the final flag waves and the lights dim what remains, is it the statistics, the lap times, the trophies gathering dust in glass cases? No, what endures is legacy. The film that's now igniting conversations across the world does more than celebrate Formula One. It forces us to ask a question far greater than any race. What will you leave behind? For those on the track, legacy isn't carved by mere victories. It's defined by character, the courage to rise after every fall, the integrity to compete with honor, the quiet strength to inspire others long after the final lap. Hollywood, through this gripping, authentic portrayal, peels back the surface spectacle and reveals the deeper narrative, one that extends far beyond racing and fame. It is the universal truth that echoes across every life, every dream, every journey. What we build within ourselves outlives us. Formula One drivers know this intimately. Their names may adorn headlines, but it's their grit, their failures, their moments of vulnerability, those unspoken battles that etch their place in history. They understand that one race doesn't define them, but the way they race does, and so it is for every one of us. The job you pursue, the relationships you nurture, the risks you take, the fears you confront, these are the laps of your life's race. And while applause may fade, the impact you leave in the hearts of others, that's eternal. The film reminds us, it's not just about winning, it's about how you carry yourself along the journey. It's about lifting others as you climb, showing grace in failure, resilience in adversity, and humility in success. In a world obsessed with results, with highlight reels and viral moments, this story dares to slow down and reveal what truly matters: character, legacy, and the quiet understanding that every choice, every risk, every act of courage ripples far beyond today. Life, much like the world of racing, is fleeting. One moment you're in the spotlight, the next it's someone else's turn. But the seeds you plant, the lives you touch, those echoes remain. And when your race is done, when your chapter closes, what will they say about you? Not your titles, not your possessions, but your heart, your perseverance, your refusal to surrender when the odds towered above you. The true victory isn't crossing a finish line, it's knowing you inspired others to start their own race. The legacy is the light you leave behind.